Hi, I'm Bill Wilt of Assured Research. In this short video, we're going to talk about the excess and surplus lines marketplace and specifically its growth over the last several years. Um, Most of you taking the time to watch this video will know that during its historically been the case, and it's proving true has been proven true over the last few years, that when there's a hard insurance market, risks migrate from the standard lines marketplace to the E&S marketplace. That's clearly been the case with substantial growth in the E&S marketplace over the last few years. And given the size of the market, now nearing 10% or around 10% of the total property casualty premiums written, we thought it a useful time to kind of take stock of the E&S marketplace and some of its dimensions. So this is a summary of work in our September and October briefings. As always, we hope many of you watching this are subscribers. Those who are not, we'd be happy to set you up to a free trial to our work. So bear with me for just a second. I'll show you some of the relevant slides, and we will get moving. Good. So many of you will know, oh, here, let me expand it. And there we go. So lots of publicly traded insurers have been moving into the E&S marketplace or expanding the size of their E&S marketplace divisions within their entire groups. And lots of companies write both standard and E&S business. This graph is showing why they might do that, especially the publicly traded companies. There is in the y-axis, which shows E&S premiums as a percentage of total, and on the left, or the y-axis shows on the left price to earnings ratios, on the right price to book measures of valuations. There's at least a loose relationship between valuation and the amount of E&S business written. Much of that comes in the form of faster growth, we suspect. The E&S marketplace has grown at a compound average growth rate of about 23% per annum over the last few years, compared to a roughly 7% growth rate for the overall market. Now, in our September work, we did find that the loss ratios between E&S and standard writers really aren't so different. That was both at the industry level, just at the very highest industry level, but also looking at the loss ratios within a group of E&S business and overall business. And much of our work comes from templates available through S&P Global, which are there for all users of S&P Global if your company is a subscriber. Now, we had found too, when we used a valuation technique that we employ occasionally, called the residual income methodology, when we looked at 4 standard writers and 4 specialty writers, largely E&S writers, or companies that are perceived by the market as predominantly E&S writers, and we compare the components of their market value as best we were able to. What you're looking at is on the left-hand side, the specialty writers, and comparing that to the components of value for the standard writers. The takeaway that I'd offer is that the specialty writers derive more of their value from the expected present value of future profits as perceived by the market, as best we're able to tease that out. With, over the next, say, 10 years, the forecast period, faster growth, lower anticipated loss ratios, and then kind of out into maturity, more value, more returns in excess of the cost of capital, lasting for longer among specialty writers as compared to standard writers. That's described more in our September briefing. Again, you'll want to refer back to that or ask us, and we can share that with you as part of a trial. But the attraction to publicly traded companies is, hey, the E&S market, we can get faster growth, perhaps lower loss ratios. The market will perceive that, receive that favorably. In our October briefing, based on follow-up questions and lots of interest on the part of our readers, we thought to compare the loss experience, the underwriting results across major individual lines of business, comparing E&S writers to standard writers. Now, we're going to leave your pursuit of our work in the October briefing to understand how we isolated the top 100 E&S writers and the top 100 standard writers across the major lines of business we're going to show here: other liability occurrence, claims made, and on the next slide, property insurance. But what I can share with you is that the E&S writers we've teased out, they write something like 90+%, nearly 100% across those 100 companies. 100% of their business or thereabouts is in the E&S market. And these three lines of business account for about 70% of the premiums written by these E&S companies. So we're really, on the E&S side, we're really isolating the E&S business. The standard writers, again, we get to, as is described in our report, but we think these are really mostly standard lines writers of these major lines. So what are you looking at? Box and whisker chart. The box shows roughly the middle 50% of the loss ratio distribution, and the tails get you kind of sort of to the 95% confidence interval. Our takeaway on other liability occurrence, E&S writers, their business is on average, in other liability occurrence, a little more profitable, but not dramatically different than the standard writers. But what's notable is where you see that arrow is that there are several E&S writers that produce meaningfully better than peer average, that is E&S writers average results, and are noticeably better than the standard writers. Other liability claims made on the right, the similar a similar takeaway, although a bit less pronounced than the chart on the left. The middle 50% of the distribution, not so different. The good news, though, for E&S writers is there's an opportunity to outperform with more favorable loss ratios, and it does seem like the negative skew, that is the higher loss ratios, is capped. Here are some major, a composite of major property lines: fire, allied, home, flood, and crop. And here you see again, not so dramatic a difference in the X is the average loss ratio. The line represents the median loss ratio. So not so much of a difference there, even a tiny bit higher for the E&S writers. But again, there's that favorable skew. You have more E&S writers meaningfully outperforming their peer group average and outperforming the standard writers. So that's what we had to share with you. Again, pursue us, please, or reach out to us, please, if we can share this work with you as part of a trial. And let me just read to you the conclusion that we wanted to take away from this, written in both of our pieces. Nothing in this analysis moves us off our earlier observation that simply growing one's E&S market presence will lead to an immediately richer market valuation. Rather, forays into the E&S space should be born of sound business rationale and probably entered into with the support of a reinsurer, especially for E&S novices. And now, assuming that a successful market reception leads to gradually accelerating premiums at a widening underwriting margin in subsequent years, then the valuation of that company should respond favorably. So hope you found this useful, and please, again, reach out to us if we can be of further assistance. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this.